Hey family, my name is Chris, I am your home gamer dad, and I welcome you to the next Jurassic-sized episode of Power Rangers Team Breakdown. Voted on by you, I present Power Rangers Dino Thunder, as they appear in Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid, the board game. You'll be able to find Connor, Ethan, Kira, and Trent in the Power Rangers Dino Thunder pack that came out not too long ago. This is a 5-figure set with the 5th figure being the evil White Ranger as a monster to fight. In order to finish out your 5-Ranger team, you're going to need Tommy Oliver. You'll be able to find this version in the Tommy Oliver Legendary Ranger Pack, along with other Tommy forms that you've seen throughout the years. Rest in peace, Jason David Frank. While going through this, I will be talking about possible combos that the Rangers can make, but keep in mind I only keep them within the team itself. So whenever I show a card and I mention a combo, it's how it works off of another member of Dino Thunder. Out there, let me know what you think of Dino Thunder, what combinations you have put through, which ones do you like, which ones do you think work well with other Rangers. Let me know down in the comments below. I love hearing your ideas. I love hearing your suggestions about who are the best Rangers in order to match up against, especially going up against some of the harder bosses out there. Plus, we all learn something a little different because there's so many different combinations of Rangers in here. It'll take you forever to be able to do them all. Plus, they keep coming out with new ones, so it just keeps adding to the list. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. There's a light in the distance. See them coming closer. With the force of ages. Centuries gone by. Protectors of the right. Defenders sworn to fight. Dino Rangers roar. Power Rangers score. Save us from these evil forces. Win. Victory is ours forevermore. Power Rangers Dino Thunder. Power up. Ha! Kira Ford, Dino Thunder Yellow. Kira is a talented musician, amazing singer, and sports a neo-punk style with a I don't care about the world attitude. However, underneath that tough facade is a very loyal friend that cares deeply for her team, which Kira steps up using her terror scream in order to knock down evildoers that threaten them. Playing into her singing ability, Pitch Perfect, once per attack. When you roll a double hit result, gain 1 energy. Very great attack because this is once per attack no matter how many times she does it. As long as she gains at least 1 double energy result from her dice, she will gain an energy. Again, this is a once per attack ability, not once per battle. So the more Kira attacks, the more chances she has to build up the shared pool of energy. Within her deck, you'll find 0x energy costs, 6-0 energy cost, 3-1 energy, 0-2 energy, and 1-3 energy cards. Her type breakdowns are 6 attacks, 2 maneuvers, and 2 reactions. And she has the standard type 1 shields in her deck. That would be 3-1 shields, 4-2 shields, and 3-3 shields. First card we're going to look at is Harmonize, a 0 energy maneuver. Another Ranger may immediately play 1 card. After that card resolves, choose 1 card from your discard pile with the same shield value as the played card and add it to your hand. So basically she is playing off of another Ranger's card. So if she had something strong in her deck, a 2 shield or a 3 shield card, she'd be like, hey Connor, play one of your 2 shield cards. He would do that, and then her 2 shield would come immediately back to her hand. It's fun how they have that in terms of like, you know, using the Harmonize as would be like her singing and matching pitches in order with her teams and everything, getting everybody nice and synced together, which is really a big theme for Dino Thunder. You have these 3 characters who are very, very different, but they do all harmonize together and work amazing as a team. An attack card for Kira, Rapid Spin, a 0-cost 2-dice attack. If you roll any missed results during this attack, you may immediately perform a second attack with a number of dice equal to the miss. So if you end up rolling these 2 dice and you completely whiff it, it basically gives you a second chance in order to do the attack. And you can kind of see it as her taking her terror grips and doing this cool like tornado attack. So maybe the first one misses, but there is a second one on the follow-up. This is also great if you build this up, making this maybe a 3 or 4 dice attack, because again, any misses that you have during this attack, you can then make a second attack using those dice that you miss. The importance of a second attack is that you can then change your target if you happen to defeat the one you are targeting, or if there's a better target for you hit for a second attack. All the Dino Rangers have cards that kind of connect them together to each other. And for this one, it's the kicks that you would find in Kira, Ethan, and Connor's deck. For Kira, you'll see Flying Kick, a 0-cost 2-dice attack. This pretty much just follows into her pterodactyl theme. It's not so much her rocker or anything along that ways, but it still is fun for her to be able to do because she's the only one that can fly out of the group when she's in Ranger form. Again, 0-cost 2-dice attack. Simply put, you gain an energy. You play this card, you get a free 2-dice attack, and you gain an immediate energy. Cannot go wrong with that, especially because if one of these dice happens to roll a double hit, you gain a second energy. All the Dino Thunder Rangers have civilian powers too. These are abilities and powers that they can use without them being morphed. For Kira, she has her Terror Scream, a 1-cost reaction card. Play this card when any ranger performs an attack. Before that attack resolves, reduce the health value of the target by 2 until the end of turn. So this is just a reduction of value for the health of the target. This doesn't actually cause damage. This helps if you're going to be going up against something that maybe has 3 or 4 health. Terror Screen will bring that down to 1 or 2, making it easier for whatever ranger is attacking at the time in order to be able to defeat it. But remember, if you do not defeat that card by the end of the turn, those 2 health that this brought down come back because it's all temporary, not counted as an actual hit. Her power weapon, the Terra Grips. 3 energy, 3-dice attack. After you resolve this attack, any ranger may immediately play 1 card. If it is an attack, add 1 dice to that attack. So the 3 energy for 3 dice may not necessarily be a strong thing, but you can immediately follow it up with another ranger playing something, and they would immediately gain another dice. There are plenty other cards in the Dino Thunder range that would benefit from having another dice. I mean, it's never a bad thing having another dice on an attack. You just got to remember that this is any ranger, so she can actually follow it up with herself as well. And then you also will have to pay for the card that you play, so you don't get it for free. So it may be best to play a 0-cost card and then add a dice to it, or if you have the energy, throw a 1 energy cost attack into it. In any event, this is a great 2-hit combo, as would be what the Terror Grips are made to do. Standard issue sidearm for all the Dino Thunder Rangers. Thunder Max Saber, a 1 energy, 2-dice attack. If any other effects add dice to this attack, add +1 die to this attack. You may divide the damage from this attack among any number of targets. The only thing this really needs is ignore guard, and you got a massively power attack here, because if you say, I'm going to add 1 dice to it, well then boom, another 1 dice comes onto it. I believe that does not stack because any other effects just add, so you would add 2 dice to it, you would only get 1 dice added to it. But that's still a great thing in order to stack onto this card, because you can get like 4 or 5 dice going at once, roll them, and then divide that damage as you need. Just watch out for guard, because it still won't be able to pass by cards with guard in it, because that's not considered splash damage. It's just considered part of the attack. Finally, her Zord, the Terrazord. Exhaust this card during any ranger's turn in battle, gain 1 energy, reduce the health cost of an enemy card that has not suffered damage by 2 until the end of turn. Very much like her Terra Scream, but you have to do it to something that has not been hit yet. So it is a little bit limited in terms of what you can target with the Terrazord, but anything you can get in order to lower a base health in order to make it easier to defeat is amazing. Plus it gives you an energy, so now you have something in order to pump up a powerful card in order to guarantee yourself, or at least make it a better shot, in order to defeat an enemy card that could be causing you trouble or guarding something else. And then throw on that Terra Max Saber and wipe them all out clean. Ethan James, Dino Thunder Blue. He may come off like a nerd, always at his computer or playing video games, but don't sell Ethan short. Not only is he highly intelligent, but he does have a sarcastic side to him and isn't afraid to stand up for himself. That strength and tough skin, made even stronger with his Triceratops skin power, makes Ethan a cornerstone member of the team. Using his intelligence, Ethan has Clever Solution as a special ability. Once per attack, when you roll a miss, any ranger may draw 1 card. This will be a good way in order to keep cards flowing in a ranger's hand and keep them in the battle, even if they seem to have nothing that they could use for that fight. Usually something like this is much better when it comes to multiplayer games. Not so much, I would say, in solo, but which is normally how I play. But I can still see this working well, just to constantly have cards coming into your hand, and a nice reminder to always draw something if you happen to get a miss. Plus, if you get a miss, at least something good happens, and that you cannot go wrong with. The cost of cards in Ethan's deck break down as 0x energy costs, 6-0 energy, 3-1 energy, no 2 energy, and 1-3 energy cost cards. You'll find 5 attacks and 5 reactions in his deck, no maneuvers. And the standard Type 1 shield breakdown, 3-1 shields, 4-2 shields, and 3-3 shields. Kira had Harmonize, Ethan has Improvise, a 0-cost reaction card. Play this card when any ranger performs an attack. Reveal the top card of that ranger's deck. If it's an attack card, add 1 dice to that ranger's attack. Otherwise, gain 1 energy. So it really all depends on what that top card is for the ranger's deck based on whoever it is attacking. Now this says any ranger, so this would be for Ethan as well. So you can have him play a card, you can immediately play Improvise, and then flip the top card over. If the top card is an attack, add a dice to the current attack that you're doing. If it is not an attack, so it's a reaction or a maneuver, you just gain 1 energy, which is never a bad thing as well. And then, of course, as you saw with the Saber, the Thundermax Saber, adding a dice to that just gives it another dice. So using Improvise and knowing what your deck has right now, like if you know the breakdown, at least for what's on top, you can throw this down and then either gain an energy in order to be able to use for a future turn, or to continue to power up a single attack, which seems to be the Dino Thunder team's big thing, really strengthening attacks by adding dice to them. Next is Shield Bash, a 1 energy, 3 dice attack card. After you perform this attack, you may discard 1 reaction card from your hand. Remember, Ethan has 5 of these in his deck, so there's a good chance that you would have one in your hand. If you do, return this card to your hand instead of discarding it, which is probably the best thing to do for Shield Bash, because even though it's worth 1 energy, so you still have to pay the energy in order to use it, it is a 3 dice attack. And being that it is only 1 shield, it's not going to do too much in terms of defending Ethan when it comes to taking damage. There's plenty of other ways that he can actually defend both himself and other rangers that way. Make sure to keep having Shield Bash in your hand in order to constantly slam it against the face of whatever enemy happens to be in front of you. As a gamer, we all know of the worst possible move somebody could use in a fighting game, and Ethan has that in his deck. Low Kick, that's his kick card for his deck. A 0-cost 4 dice attack. During this attack, all double hit results are treated as misses. So it's kind of a bad thing in that case where if you roll and you get like a lot of double hits, you're not doing all that damage. Unfortunately, it all is considered a miss. So at most, this attack will do 4 damage. But you can also do things in order to try to mitigate it. So maybe something pops up as a 2 hit. There might be something that you can do in order to spin it down or something along that ways to make sure that the attack goes through. And again, these are just treated as misses. They are not counted as misses. So if there's something out there that plays off of, the amount of misses that you roll, that still counts. Really cool idea of a card here. And again, because he's a gamer, who doesn't use the low kick or who hasn't tried the low kick strategy before? His Civilian Power, Tricera Skin, a 0-cost reaction card. Play this card when any ranger suffers damage, reduce that damage by 3. And it itself is a 3 shield card, obviously, because this is big. This is a big thing for Ethan, and that would be all this defense. His Tricera Skin is impenetrable. He can use it almost as offensive when he's pushing against it. His main weapon is a shield, so he's very big in terms of defense and keeping all of his fellow rangers safe. So this is a good card that you can have either to go for him, so you can play it and reduce it by 3, or if somebody is just taking a little bit too much damage, throw down the Tricera Skin, absorb that damage, and keep them all in the fight. Speaking of which, his power weapon, Tricera Shield, a 3 energy reaction card. Play this card when any ranger suffers damage. Reduce that damage by 3, standard. The next time any ranger performs an attack during this battle, add 3 dice to that attack. That is immensely powerful because you can almost double the effectiveness of a particular card or more by adding 3 dice to it. And again, you're going to play this as a reaction to damage, so it won't be the ranger's turn. So then once that damage has finished and it's the ranger's turn again, discuss with your ranger friends who is going to attack and gain that extra 3 dice, because that is just going to make all the difference for who plays what at what time. Hopefully you have something to ignore guard and just kind of get in there and use all that stored up energy that Ethan absorbed to just power on back to the enemy. Standard issue sidearm, Thundermax Saber, a 1 energy, 2 dice attack. If any ranger adds a dice to this attack, add 1 dice to it. You may divide the damage you see among any other targets. I'm pretty much just going to be the exact same thing that Kira had and Connor has one. It's a cool picture because it actually has all three of them on it, so I like their representation for this particular card. And again, you just saw Ethan add 3 dice to the attack. That would mean this would be a 4 dice plus 2 6 dice attack where whatever damage is rolled can be divided up as you see fit. Like, that type of spread damage that you have for this could really make the difference as you go along, especially if you're fighting a monster that's like all fast cards. You may not get that first turn, but within a turn or two later, you can be able to really power up a particular card, possibly this one, and then roll 6, 7, 8 dice, take out multiple cards at once, and really show them who has the power in the battle. And of course, his Zord, the Tricerazord. Exhaust this card when any ranger suffers damage, reduce that damage by 2. That ranger may choose 1 card from the discard pile and place it on top of their deck. So the damage coming in just goes down. It's not so much immediately blocked, it's just reduced by 2. So you have something coming in doing 4 damage to a ranger. This will make it 2 damage, but then that ranger can find a card in their discard pile that maybe they lost previously because they played it, or they lost it through previous damage. If it's 3 shield, they can put that on top, reveal it, it goes to the bottom, so they don't suffer really anything. They actually add themselves back. They may have a star ability, a special defense power they can throw on there. There are so many versatile uses for the Tricerazord later in the game. Maybe not so much round 1, but you're not going to have this yet. You're going to go through a battle or 2 before you find this one and really make sure you take the defensive powers of both Ethan and the Tricerazord and use them to your advantage. Connor McKnight, Dino Thunder Red. Star soccer player, amazing athlete, and team leader, Connor can be a bit cocky, a show-off, and jump into situations without thinking sometimes. But when push comes to shove, he looks out for his team, making sure everybody stays united against the forces of evil. Using his T-Rex speed, he can run circles around his enemies. I never really associated speed with the Tyrannosaurus, but Connor sure takes advantage of it. Swift Striker is his ability. If there's an enemy card in play with a fast keyword, you may take the first turn of the battle. If you do, remove 1 dice before you roll the first attack you perform this battle. Be honest with you, with the amount of dice you're adding to attacks from here on out, this isn't really that bad of a thing. You do gain the first turn then instead of losing it whenever a fast card is out, which is absolutely amazing. And you can actually do a better setup that way. If you were already planning on missing the first turn and figured out a way in order to take in the damage or do whatever, you can play a maneuver card that really sets up for the next turn to do something big. His deck cost breakdown is 0x energy, 6-0 energy, 3-1 energy, 0-2 energy, and 1-3 energy cost, just like Kira and Ethan actually. The types you're going to find in his deck are 6 attack, 2 maneuver, and 2 reaction, so a pretty good spread. Decent amount of attacks, you got some maneuvers and reactions there. And then of course the standard type 1, 3-4-3 shield breakdown, 3-1 shield, 4-2 shields, 3-3 shields, nothing too different from there. Again, Connor leans way into his speed ability, so we have Outpace, a 0-cost reaction card. Play this card when an enemy card resolves, reduce the damage that card deals by 1. If that card has the fast keyword, gain 1 energy. So you're not really reducing the damage by a lot, it's only down by 1, but that 1 could make or break the difference between a card going to the discard pile or to the bottom of a deck. The big thing here is if the card that's attacking has the fast keyword, it'll immediately gain an energy. So that means Connor is outrunning the monster or whatever it is that has the fast keyword. Fast means nothing to Connor. He is way faster than anything on the field. And as you can see, we'll be able to take advantage of all those slow monsters. Why not step it up a notch with Extreme Speed, a 0-cost maneuver card? Any ranger may immediately play 1 card. If it is the first attack card played during the battle, add 1 die to that attack. And I'll tell you why that's very important if you can't guess already. Otherwise, place this card on the bottom of your deck and you may draw 1 card. So, if this is the first attack played during it, add 1 to the attack. This pretty much negates his special ability. His special ability takes a die away. This adds the die back into the attack. So if you go before the monster or the boss or whatever it is with a fast ability, then instead of taking a dice, you play Extreme Speed and that dice gets thrown back in. Fantastic to have in your hand at the beginning of the game, especially if something has fast. But if not, as you can see here, you can put it on the bottom of your deck. It is a 2 shield card. which is a pretty decent thing for defense, and you can immediately draw a card in order to replace it. I also just want to point out the word may. It has may draw one card at the end of it. So if Connor's running out of cards, extreme speeds is another thing in order to keep him in battle. Just wanted to point that out really quickly. Star soccer player is going to have a powerful kick, right? Connor has his corner kick. 0 cost, 2 dice attack. After rolling, you may choose to deal the full damage from this attack to an enemy card adjacent to the target instead. That will ignore guard. You can then target a guard card, and depending on whatever it is, if you choose to, instead of fighting the card that you originally targeted, that damage could then be moved either to one of the sides or even up or down depending on where the card is in order to deal damage that way. So it's a choice card where you're either knocking out the first card that you targeted or possibly picking off a card next to it, adjacent to it, or whatever. Great way of getting around certain defenses, corner kicks, right? And just a very clever card, and especially if you start adding dice to these things like crazy, as you've been seeing the Dino Thunder Rangers do, you can have a 4 or 5 dice attack where you may hit something with guard and be like, nah, that can stay. Nail something to the left, right, up, and down over it, and really make the battle a little bit easier for you guys, or give you multiple turns in a row if you happen to defeat it. Moving on to Connor, how he uses his power weapon, we have a Tyranno Strike here. 1 energy, 3 dice attack. You may re-roll any number of dice during this attack. Red Rangers seem to have that ability a lot, either adding dice to it or being able to re-roll a set amount of dice. Here is no different for Connor. He has a 3 dice attack that he can shoot out and then re-roll any of it. As with always, if you add a lot of dice to these attacks, the more you roll, the better chance you get. So then you can take any misses or whatever, re-roll them in hopes to get a stronger attack in order to either beat certain enemies or weaken them or just kind of make life a lot easier for the Rangers as they go through battle after battle after battle. Power weapon, Tyranno Staff. I love this image. This is a crazy awesome image of him. 3 energy, 4 dice plus 1 guaranteed damage attack. You may divide this damage from this attack among any number of targets that have not yet resolved. So if this is played late in the battle, you won't be able to move the damage around because, again, it has to not be resolved. This is unfortunately something that you would want to play early in the battle in order to either push the damage around, spread it out a little bit. Maybe if you have something that does more blanket attacks or whatever, start knocking things down little by little by little. Keep in mind, it does do a guaranteed 1 attack. So no matter how many dice you roll, you will always have at least 1 going on there. And as I've said before in other things, 1 damage could really be the difference between a win and a loss when it comes to the battles, when it comes to just the game in general. So never underestimate those guaranteed damages. And then, of course, you have 4 dice that you can just do whatever you want with, all obeying the guard rule. Remember that these are all attacks, so they have to obey the guard rule. If there's a guard on the field, things don't flip over until the end of all damage. So you'd have to just focus on guard before you would be able to spread anything out. Thundermax Saber, 1 energy, 2 dice attack. Any other effect that adds dice, add 1 more dice. Divide the damage as you see fit among all the other targets. Again, I just have to emphasize this because this was a problem that I had, a mistake that I constantly made. Whenever you deal damage to cards on the field, the actual damage and the destruction of the monster or the foot soul or whatever does not resolve until the card has finished activating. So if you do 6 damage and you have a guard card that only has 3 health, you can't hit anything to the side of it if they don't have guard because the card technically hasn't resolved fully and that guard card hasn't officially been defeated. Now again, you can go anywhere with a lot of this damage. Keep that in mind too, so you don't have to just hit that. But it is something to remember. You just can't spread it along as you see fit unless you have something that ignores guard. Tyrannosaurus, his Zord for the game, exhausts his card when any ranger performs an attack. Add 1 die to that attack. That ranger may re-roll any number of dice during that attack. What's interesting about this is it's a little bit different than Jason's Tyrannosaurus Zord, where that just adds straight 2 dice to the attack. This is a 1 dice and gives you a reroll. I don't think Jason's Tyrannosaurus gives you a reroll. So it's really cool how you have the same creature of sorts, the Tyrannosaurus, in Zord form, but they all have different yet the same style attacks. It's really cool seeing all these little changes and how they actually make a difference as you go through the game. I would personally rather have the reroll than the extra dice, because at least with the reroll, you can reroll anything that you've messed up rather than just here's a few extra dice, hope for the best, and just going at that. Dr. Tommy Oliver, Dino Thunder Black. After earning his degree and becoming a science teacher, the legendary ranger Tommy Oliver became the mentor for the Dino Thunder team, giving them their dino gems and guiding them as to how to be rangers. But when called upon, Tommy bonded with the Black Dino Gem, becoming part of the Dino Thunder team and once more proving his strength, determination, and heart as a Power Ranger. Very appropriate for Tommy, legendary mentor. Once per battle before a ranger performs an attack, you may add 1 die to that attack. Just simply put, you add a die to whatever attack the ranger does. This does only happen once per battle, so you got to be kind of picky-choosy about when you want to do it. But it's a very simple and very meaningful ability that Tommy has, because as I've said before, 1 dice is well welcome in order to increase your chances to be able to defeat foot soldiers, monsters, whatever it is that stands before you. Deck cost breakdown, he has 0x energy cost, 6-0 energy, 3-1 energy, no 2 energy, and 1-3 energy cost cards. You'll find 7 attacks, 1 maneuver, and 2 reactions within his deck. And he has the standard Type 1 3-4-3 breakdown, 3-1 shield, 4-2 shields, and 3-3 shields. Tommy's Brachio Staff has a lot of different functions to it and a bunch of different attacks. So we're going to start with Fire Strike, a 0-cost 2 dice attack. The next time any ranger performs an attack, that ranger may re-roll any number of dice during that attack. So he has to use this attack in order to be able to set it up for a future attack, which is great because having re-rolls, as I mentioned before, to me is a little bit better than having dice. But if you can add dice to it and gain the re-rolls, man, you're talking about possibly putting out some big numbers there in order to really knock down some guys. A lot of strength in this Dino Thunder team, seriously. Fire is a direct attack. The Wave Strike is a little bit more spread out, a 0-cost 3 dice attack. You must deal the damage of each dice from this attack to a different target. So you'll roll the dice, and that's 3 dice that you can hit with. Each dice must hit a different target. Just keep in mind that, again, with the guard rule, you cannot attack anything to the left, right, up, or down of a guard card unless they also have guard. Now, you can move around the board all you want with all this damage, spread it here, spread it there, whatever, but no one enemy can take 2 dice worth of damage from this card. It's a cool splash damage, hence Wave Strike card, and if you need to be able to defeat something quickly and it's very close to being dead, you can then Wave Strike it to destroy it. Hopefully, if it needs like 1 or 2 damage, and then maybe spread some stuff out, amongst other cards to help knock them down a little bit. Next is Jurassic Counter. I wish this was called Jurassic Kick because I think it would fit very well with the other Rangers, but even still, a 0-cost reaction card. Play this card when an enemy deals damage to any Ranger. Gain 1 energy and deal 1 damage to that enemy card. So it's a small amount of damage dealt. Again, at any point, 1 damage could be the difference between the card being defeated and the card just being a little bit closer to being dead, so for somebody else to come in. But of course, the gaining of 1 energy is absolutely keen here. This doesn't cost anything to play. It is a reaction, so it just goes down immediately. You're not reducing the damage coming in, so the Ranger taking it is still going to have to figure out either take it from their deck or using other cards, but dealing 1 damage back through the counter, and gaining an energy is a great trade-off for this not blocking any damage. Being Tommy and all of his power, being like so many different Rangers and being on a ton of different teams, Finishing Blow is fantastic. 1 energy, 2 dice attack, add 1 die to this attack for each hit token on the targeted enemy card. So if you have something that maybe has like 5 health and you've knocked it down by 3, you'll have 3 hit tokens on it. So now this has become a 5 dice attack. Does that seem like a little bit of overkill? Maybe, but the point of the card is to finish off an enemy. So again, they're right there at the edge. Play Finishing Blow, add in a bunch of dice based off of however many hit tokens it has, and it should be able to knock it down. This is an amazing card if you have some bosses that have like 6, 7, or 8 health to them, because you just need to put like 3 or 4 damage on it, and then Tommy could come in, add that to this, and just take it to town, just finish it off and show him exactly why Tommy is one of the strongest Rangers ever. Energy Orb is probably something I wouldn't use until closer to the end of the battle, simply because of what it does. Mind you, it is a 1 energy 5 dice attack, which is absurdly crazy. However, skip the next ranger turn in battle. So this is basically taking 2 turns and pushing it into 1 for a single target 5 dice attack. Again, great if maybe you've taken out other boss cards down the, in the sequence, past whatever it is you're aiming at, and at least here you'll have 5 dice in there to hopefully take out another one. Skipping the turn wouldn't really be that bad. But this is one that has to be played very strategically because you don't want to do massive damage or roll these 5 dice and completely whiff it, and then you lose your next turn, meaning that the enemies would go twice, putting the Rangers in kind of a hard position. And finally, his power weapon, the Brachiostaff, a 3 energy maneuver card. Choose 2 attack cards in your discard pile with an energy cost of 1 or less, which is pretty much everything except for this card, and play them both one at a time without paying their energy costs. This is another one where if you're right near the end of the game or you just have enough to be able to, get a few more licks in or whatever, play possibly Energy Orb right there. You do a 5 dice attack, and then you can play maybe like Wave Strike to finish it off or something else in order to be able to say, even if you miss or even if you defeat that one card and you miss your next turn, it's not going to set you too far back in your sequence and you're not going to take that much damage. So awesome, awesome card. Understandable how it works. And there's just so many options that you can do with Tommy and all of the different attack cards that he has. But remember, this has to be played from his discard pile, so you got to build that up first. Tommy Zord, the Brachiozord. When you summon this card, and at the start of each action phase, take 1 random Zord card from the box and attach it to this card. Exhaust this card to use the ability of an attached Zord, then discard that card. Brachiozord is a carrier Zord. All of the other Zords stayed within him as he moved around the city or the landscape or wherever he is. This conserved their energy, so this way when they were ready to go and defeat the monster, they're at the maximum amount of power that they can be. This is amazing because, again, you take Zords from the box and add it to here. Now, this says 1 random Zord from the box, so you're supposed to not really look and have an idea or whatever. I like kind of keeping things within theme, so I'll have like a nice little deck of... There's so many Zords now, so I don't want to just grab anything. I'll have a deck of a pre-made, maybe like 10 or 15 Zords, shuffle them together, and even if you pull the Brachiozord at the beginning of the game, you're only going to maybe get 4 or 5 Zords attached to this thing by the time you're actually done. So a small pile of like 10, 12 Zords that you pull, shuffle together so that way one of them is random, is good to use, or you could just shuffle all your Zords together already and pull it from there. It doesn't matter. No matter what, you're going to get so many crazy combinations with the Brachiozord because you never know what you're going to pull in the ways of the Zords from your boxes. And it's just going to make every game even more unique because you just don't know what's coming. Trent Fernandez Mercer, but you didn't know he had 2 last names. Dino Thunder White. Trent stumbled across the white dino gem while looking for a possible connection between his father and the villain Mesagog. At first, the gem controlled Trent, forcing him to fight the other Dino Thunder Rangers. After gaining control, he joined the team using his powers of invisibility, speed, and strength to help them take down the villain and rescue his father. Trent's special ability, Fierce Impact, is very good for him because he is, a better word to use than any, a very fierce fighter. He is strong and he is brutal at times. Once per battle after you resolve an attack, if the attack dealt at least 3 damage, deal 1 damage to an enemy card adjacent to the target. Again, this is once per battle, so you got to be very picky choosy about when you use it. But if he happens to do 3 or more damage, you can at least splash 1 additional damage to one of the sides of that card. Doesn't matter if it's guarded because that additional damage is, again, splash damage. It's not counted as an attack, so it will bypass the guard. Trent's deck is broken down very different from the other Dino Rangers. He has 1 X energy card, 4 0 energy, 2 1 energy, 2 2 energy, and a 3 energy card. He has 7 attack cards within his deck, a maneuver, and 2 reactions, but his shields are the same as the other ones, a standard type 1, 3/4/3 breakdown, but amongst his defense cards, 2 of them have a special star defense power. I'll talk about that special defense right now with Drago Strike, a 2 energy, 4 dice attack. Straight up, that's all it really does. It's just 2 energy for 4 dice, and that's about it. However, if this card is revealed for defense, the next time any ranger performs an attack during this battle, add 1 die to that attack. Man, isn't that fancy, adding a dice to the attack. I wish this had more shields in it, because it's only a 1 shield card, making it not the best for defense. But again, if you flip it over and this happens to reveal itself, another dice added to another card is never a bad thing. Again, I just wish this was maybe a 2 or a 3 shield card, just to have it a little bit more staying power within Trent's deck. Next, we have Dash and Slash, a 0 cost, 1 guaranteed damage attack card, so you don't need to roll. Before rolling, you may place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. If you do, add 2 dice to this attack. So this doesn't naturally have an attack roll to it. It is a guaranteed 1 damage, and you still get that. But if you want to take 1 card from your hand and put it to the bottom of your deck, maybe the special defense card, maybe something with 3 shields, just something else in there in order to help out for later use, you can do that, and then at least make this an additional 2 dice attack plus 1 guaranteed damage. Could end up doing a pretty decent amount of stuff, and you don't have to do it. If you just want to deal 1 damage to something, 0 cost, 1 damage, done, in, sliced, gone. Misdirection, a 0 cost reaction card. So both Trent and Tommy have the power of stealth or invisibility or whatever you want to call it. That's what their civilian powers are. They both have the exact same thing. They can go invisible. Tommy didn't have anything like that within his deck, nothing to really represent that. Misdirection does that for Trent though. Play this card when an enemy card deals damage, gain 1 energy. You may divide that damage among any number of rangers. So if a ranger is taking 3 damage, you play Misdirection, and now you can spread that damage around. You can have everybody take 1 damage, increasing their chances of it going to the bottom of their deck instead of discarding it. But then you also gain an energy, which is absolutely amazing. The more energy you pump into the shared pool, the more options you're going to have for your rangers going forward. Trent is the only one with an X energy cost, so he'll be the only one that could possibly use it all. But everybody else with their 1s, really no 2s out there, 3s, anything they go in order to power up their attacks, absolutely fine. We'll go over that X energy card in a minute, but first I want to talk about Arrow Shot, a 1 energy, 3 dice attack. Ignore the guard keyword when choosing a target for this attack. This is the only card that we have seen throughout all of Dino Thunder that has the ability to ignore guard, which means if this guy is going to be attacking and you have Trent in there, make sure you power him up with as many dice as possible, maybe give him something to spread the damage or something along that ways. This right now is just a single target attack, but it will ignore guard. So just keep that in mind when playing this. Ignoring guard is very helpful in order to be able to get rid of some of the more annoying cards, passives, things along that ways. And then Trent has the ability to do that because he makes his little arrows in the air, fires it off, and is able to get around anything protecting other enemies. Speaking of arrows, here you go, your X attack, laser arrows. What I love about Trent in Dino Thunder is his weapon. You think it's a sword, but it's actually a quill pen, and he actually draws with the front of it. He draws the arrows, they fire off, he puts X on things, they trigger. He does all kinds of crazy stuff with the pen, as it is mightier than the sword, if not equally as powerful. Anyway, X energy, a 1 dice attack. Add a number of dice to this attack equal to the amount of energy spent to play this card. If this attack defeats the target, you may divide any excess damage among enemy cards adjacent to the target. This will help with guard because it says here, if this attack defeats the target. So that means the initial damage that you're doing triggers first before everything spreads. So if you're targeting a guard card with laser arrow and you manage to defeat it, it does count as being beaten, and then the rest of the damage will be able to spread out to adjacent, to adjacent cards. So this is another one that kind of ignores guard, at least as per rules written and everything. Very, very useful. You just got to be willing to spend the energy in order to power it up and do what you need to do with it. And again, it only hits the adjacent enemies, so left and right, and then either a top or a bottom, depending on where it is in the order. Still very helpful and extremely powerful if powered up enough. And finally, his power weapon, as I mentioned before, the Drago Sword, a 3 energy maneuver. Choose 1 attack card from your discard pile with an energy cost of 2 or less. Play that card without paying its energy cost. Add 3 dice to that attack. very similar to Tommy's Brachiostaff, which takes 2 cards of 1 or less, and then you can just play them. This is only a single card of 2 energy or less, which again is every card in his deck, except for this one, obviously, but there's only 1 3 card. But at least then you also get to add additional dice to the attack. So you can just do the laser arrows that I said there and do 1 dice plus 3 dice, that's 4 dice. You're not putting any more energy into it. You're also not playing it, so you wouldn't be able to add any, like additional energy, but still, you're doing a laser arrow for 4 dice that could do exactly what I said and destroy a card and then start spreading itself around. So Dragosord has plenty of options, especially if you are later in the game and Trent's discard pile is a little bit higher. At least this will be able to give you plenty of options to be able to stay in the fight, win the fight, and ultimately come out on top. And of course, Trent has his Dragozord. I don't know how to pronounce the actual dinosaur name of the creature that this is based off of. I'll put that on the screen over here and you guys can figure it out on your own. The Dragozord exhausts this card when an enemy card is defeated. Deal 2 damage, divided as you choose, among enemy cards adjacent to that card. Adding again to the laser arrows. You have defeated an enemy. You tap or exhaust the Dragozord, and you now have 2 more damage to spread amongst that as you see fit. He's kind of a smash and explode type of fighter. All that dash and slash, bouncing back and forth between multiple guys, all the splash damage, things along that ways. As a 6th Ranger, which is kind of what he is, but it's kind of not because there's only 5 Rangers to the Dino Thunder team. Trent really holds that role very strongly because he is a powerful, powerful Ranger that could possibly solo a bunch of enemies, no problem. But if you bring him into a boss fight or a monster fight and really start powering him up, you know, using maneuvers and other things to affect his cards, he will wipe it clean without any issues at all. And that is why Trent is a fantastic member of Dino Thunder, and one that I don't know what I'm going to use, but I would like to try one day and just see how broken he could be, because I imagine some pretty crazy combos here. And lastly, I have the Thundersaurus Megazord. This is the only Megazord I have right now for Dino Thunder. There may be more that are released in the future. I would love to see the Stego and the Dragosord combined together, which was Trent's Megazord as he went through it. And then, of course, any other random combinations, because Dino Thunder was one of those seasons that had like Swiss Army knife Megazords, where the arms would always pop on and off, and new Zords would pop on in order to be able to do different things. But as far as this one goes, when this card is summoned, and at the start of each round, add 4 energy tokens to this card, max 4. Once per Ranger turn in battle, any Ranger may remove 1 energy token from this card to ready an exhausted Zord card. So you will have your 5 Zords already, because you need them in order to play this. You have your 5 Zords, they have all exhausted, and now you've put 4 on here. You can unexhaust 4 of them and reuse them again. Using Zord abilities multiple times is a game changer and is a super powerful ability, especially if I can have 4 of them redone throughout the course of a particular round. And again, at the beginning of a round, this reloads back to 4. Man, this is something you want to try to get on the table like early in a round to be able to use as much as you can out of it, because if you unlock it at the end of the round, it has 4, it's not going to go back up 4. Still, awesome, awesome card, one that takes advantage of the Zords and all their abilities. And there you go. Power Rangers Dino Thunder, the entire team as they would appear and work together within Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. What do you think of the Dino Thunder team? Is this something that you're going to add to your game? Do you already have these guys, and have you used them? Again, I asked about combinations that you've tried out there. Let me know what you like most about these guys. I think it's the raw dinosaur power of this team, constantly adding dice, constantly being able to power up a move, power up a move, power up a move, and then having all that damage be able to spread out amongst a whole bunch of cards just makes this team super powerful when it comes to various fights, especially if you go into something that may not have a lot of guards in it. If you have a lot of fast, a lot of passive, and a lot of standard cards, this team could go in and wipe them out no problem, just based off the amount of dice that they're rolling, the potential amount of damage that they can do, and of course, spreading it out as they see fit. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my team breakdown of Power Rangers Dino Thunder. I look forward to showing you them in action shortly, which should actually be not too long after this video goes live, or is already up now, depending on when you see it. I am going to be using the Core 3 for that session. So you're going to see Connor, Ethan, and Kira work together. I think this works best because I believe these three are the most synergetic from what I've seen from their cards. I will have something different for Tommy later, and maybe I'll do something with Trent down the line. I'm not too sure, but definitely you're going to see these three in action for the next session, which is all Dino Thunder themed. So be sure to subscribe to the Home Gamer Dad if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of that Power Ranger action, so you can be sure to catch all my previous sessions that I did, and then all of the other fun things that I have put out throughout the course of my time here with you guys. Thank you all so much. You guys are amazing. Guys, always remember, be kind to yourself and each other. We are family forever, gaming together with the force of ages as centuries gone by. Seriously, Dino Thunder is my favorite theme song for all of Power Rangers. The season itself I really, really liked. It's definitely in my top 5 Ranger seasons, hands down, but the theme song is my favorite. It's also one of the few that actually doesn't have the word go in it, if you believe that. I know there's at least one more. Can you let me know what that is down in the comments section below? Can't think of it off the top of my head, but Dino Thunder's theme does not have the word go in it, but it's such a great theme. So thank you guys again. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one. Later.